Welcome to this Spirit Gathering teleconference. Today is February 19th, 2013, and my name is Amy Skezas, and our topic tonight is Vocation, Our Call, and God's Response. I am very happy that you've joined us. We're recording this call so that the people who could not be here tonight can listen in. Please press either your phone's mute button or *6 to mute your line to help keep the line quiet. And later there will be an opportunity for sharing, and at that time you can unmute your line so you can be heard. Now let's take a moment to get settled, to center ourselves, to let go of the events of this day, and to begin to enter the deeper sacred space within ourselves. Now let us imagine that we are joining together, sacred heart to sacred heart, with every other person on this call right now. Imagine we are forming a circle. And in the center of this circle is a campfire or a candle or a basket of flowers or whatever symbol seems appropriate to you to indicate the center, the coming forth place at the heart of what joins us together. And imagine a hub of light from your heart to that center. Column of light, alive and pulsing. Energy moving forth from the coming forth place into your heart. Energy moving from your heart into that shared connectivity in the center. Good. And now imagine that we are joining together sacred heart to sacred heart with a larger circle with everyone who will listen in to the recording later. Now let us set our intentions. May we deepen our connection with the divine. May this sharing serve each of us on our spiritual journey. May it serve our communities and the planet. And so it is. Tonight's call is about vocation, our call and God's response. And vocation is typically understood as a call from God to those who are here to serve. Tonight we'll explore vocation from another perspective, our call and God's response. From this perspective, vocation is a point of union between the little personal self and the greater transpersonal self, a gift from Spirit to each person for the fulfillment of spiritual purpose and the deepest satisfaction of a life well spent. And I'll ask you to reflect on these questions, and then we'll do a circle sharing about these themes using the Peer Spirit Circle guidelines that I'll explain in a moment. But first, here are the 3 questions that I felt called to share. And of course, if you have other things that you want to share, that's fine as well when we get to the sharing place. But these are the starting points to stimulate some discussion. What do you yearn for in this lifetime? How are you currently serving others? What changes is Spirit nudging you to make now to stay current with the energies of our times? Yes. I'll repeat those questions again before we start the dialogue. Now I want to talk about the process that we're going to use for the dialogue, which is a peer spirit circle. And in the words of Christina Baldwin and Anne Linnea, who are the founders of Peer Spirit, what transforms a meeting into a circle is the willingness of people to shift from informal socializing or opinionated discussion into a receptive attitude of thoughtful speaking and deep listening, and to embody and practice the structures of the circle. And those structures are an intention. Our intention tonight is to explore vocation. Our start point, which was our setting of our intention. Establishing the center, which we've done, linking our heart and establishing the hub of the wheel. Then we'll do a check-in, a brief check-in, where we'll pass an imaginary talking stick. It's imaginary because it's in our imaginations and not a physical stick. And it will serve to regulate the flow of our conversation to ensure that only one person at a time is speaking and that we're all listening a little bit clearly when that person is speaking. So when it's your turn to speak, you can say, "Hi, this is Sally. I'm picking up the stick," and then say what you have to say, and then say, "I'm putting down the stick." And that lets the next person know that they have a chance to step in and speak. A circle is also formed by our agreements. And tonight it's that we'll listen to each other with compassion and curiosity. We'll ask for what we need and offer what we can. And that we'll agree to employ a group guardian to help care for our energy. And tonight that will be Topsoil. He'll ask us for some silence, for a pause, when he feels that we need some space to unpack what's occurring, or some breathing room, or some silence to reflect. And Topsoil, are you going to ring a chime when you want that pause? Or would you just like to call it with your voice?
Yeah, let me see how this sounds on the line.
It's a little bit sharp. Maybe just move it a little further away. That's a little hard to hear. Somewhere in between.
Okay.
The middle way. Thanks. And the other thing that makes this a circle is that everyone's voice is important. There's a leader in every chair. So when you speak, you're speaking as a leader, as someone who's respected and valued, and who we want to hear very much. And that we're all sharing responsibility for the quality of our experience here. Even though I'm the host and the facilitator, it's all of us are shaping this and co-creating this, and that we're relying on wholeness rather than on any personal agenda. We'll speak with intention, and we'll listen with attention, and we'll tend to the well-being of the circle. At the end, we'll do a short checkout. So those are the circle guidelines, and I'll repeat now the content that we'll be putting into that process, which is, what do you yearn for in this lifetime? How are you currently serving others? And what changes is Spirit nudging you to make now to stay current with the energies of our times? I invite you now to share in the circle, and I'm putting the talking stick down.
10 minutes has passed. We have 50 minutes to go. I'm Teresa Jane, and I'm picking up the talking stick. And I'm just very happy to be in communion with all of you and to touch in and to have this discussion. I'm putting down the talking stick.
Thomas Ayers here, picking up talking sticks. I am awake and ready. And stick down.
Topsoil here. I'll pick up the stick and check in. Yeah, it's a nice day today. It turned sunny after being rainy, and I feel in a good space and happy to be on the call, putting the stick down.
This is Nancy Johansson. I am sitting by a wonderful fire on this cold night, and I'm feeling the warmth of the circle as well, and it feels good to be a part of this heart-filled circle. And I'm putting the talking stick down. This is Amy. I'm picking up the stick. I have a cat on my lap, and I'm next to the wood stove fire. There's blossom in the air outside. It's spring. It's beautiful. It's rainy and chilly and fresh, and I'm so happy to be here. Putting the stick down. This is Diane Wyan picking up the stick and saying glad to be here and love the question on vocation and putting the stick back down. Thank you. Anybody else like to check in that we haven't heard from? If not, we can go ahead and switch to our content whenever you're ready. I'm putting the stick down.
This is Diane. I'll pick up the stick and answer the questions. What I yearn for in this lifetime is a deep connection to myself with a great clarity of who I am, what I have to offer, and offering it to the world and to be in service to others in that way. Currently, the way I see myself being of service is through coaching or facilitation practices. Mainly. And I stay current and find myself wanting more currentness and currency of energy practice in our times by doing the radiant reflective work and also using energy skills in coaching. And I welcome support in help and guidance to connect with the next right thing that will serve myself and others in the world into greater peace and harmony and light and love. Thank you. I'm putting the stick down.
Ten more minutes have passed. We have 40 minutes left of the call. This is Teresa Jane. I'll pick up the stick. What I yearn for in this lifetime is definitely connection with myself and with others, and bringing people together in a way that really serves and supports everyone being the light that they were born to be in whatever way and shape that takes. The way I feel like I'm currently serving others is, especially since the solstice, I've just been on board about working as a team toward the highest and greatest good of everyone concerned. And there are two teams that I'm currently working with, one in Ojai and one in Westlake Village in California. And none of us really know what we're doing together, but we're allowing it to unfold just as Spirit moves us. And it feels very exciting and very on track with the energies of this new era. And it's really about the greatest good. In Ojai, there's a woman who came into town and she wanted to support the light workers that are working on the planet right now, who have a tendency to give and give and give and not receive. And so she's brought about, it's called the Ojai Recharge, and it's a free gathering and workshop for light workers, with different workshops going on for 3 days. And it's the first 3 days of March. And somehow I met her, and she and I and another woman and another man have just kind of taken all our resources in order to have different spiritual centers donate their spaces for the workshops to happen, and different healers in the area to donate free healing sessions for all the participants that are coming. And there's over 120 signed up already. And so that, like, we don't know what the outcome of that will be, but we just feel like we're on the right track. And in another way, in Westlake, there's a woman who wants to do fitness training and weight loss for people in a very holistic way, and they brought me on board as they want it to be mind, body, spirit, and everyone supported by a team rather than just trying to do it and fail to get healthy and fit. And so I'm the sort of spirit portion of that team. And, we just had a meeting today, and we don't know what the outcome will be, but it just feels really in alignment with spirit for all of us, for the greatest good of the people, to serve the people who come to see us. So I think that is the changes that Spirit's calling us to make right now, not to try to do it individually, but to use the unique gifts of everyone on a team toward the same purpose, and really not even have a box about how it's done, just creative flow and imagination to create a new way of being with people that is of service, but that everyone, including ourselves, is supported in that. So I'll put down the stick now.
This is Nancy, and I am picking up the stick, holding it in my hand. Let's see. What I yearn for the most in this lifetime is to live and create love, to live in a state of love, to create more of it, share more of it. And no matter what's going on or what the circumstances are, or who I'm with. And let's see, how am I currently serving others? I guess several things come to mind. I am in the process of publishing a book of visionary experiences, which is a way of sharing love and light with a number of people, and this manuscript has been very moving for a few people who have read it so far, and I think a lot comes through. It's a transmission. And I also have an energy healing practice, which is a way of loving and serving others, and I really enjoy it myself. And let me think, what else? Well, within my family and circle of friends, and I feel there's always an element of serving and feeling a lot of satisfaction in that. The changes Spirit is nudging me to make, to stay current with the energies of this time, I would say to live in the flow, to not necessarily give up all agendas or plans, but to realize that the creativity of the universe is constantly changing and flowing, and that makes for lots of changes, and to be a free spirit in those changes. And I think it goes back to the yearning in this lifetime, is my yearning for this time, in these times, which is to more and more be in a state of creating love and enjoying love and sharing it, no matter what changes are going on. And just being in the light, in the moment. Yeah, I think that says it for me. So I'm going to put the talking stick down now. Thank you.
Ten more minutes have passed. We have 30 minutes left of the call.
Hello, this is Sally in New York. Sally Ekreb, I should say. I think I saw a lot of parallels with the previous woman that just spoke, that when I think about what I most yearn for, it definitely relates to love. I think that for a long time it was about feeling love more externally, and as time has gone on, it's more for me to more fully experience the love that I am and that I project and that I can really experience in relationship with others and in relationship with myself. And so a lot of the yearning is just to continue to take in more and more of that. It's kind of, I guess, thinking about chipping away kind of the old blocks that barricaded it before, but I think part of it is learning how to kind of be in the rhythm and the harmony and the vibration that is love for me. And how I'm currently serving others is also evolving, that I've in the process of completing a lot of family service, and I'm now kind of in transition of having focused on other people for so many years to really look at, serving a greater community and what would bring me the most satisfaction in that domain. And I'm in the process of figuring it out, looking at different options, trying to think of where I want to be, how I want to do it, and I'm also considering writing a book. And what changes is Spirit nudging me to make now? I just think it's a challenge to kind of tune in every day and figure what is appropriate for today. And, certain days seem more harmonious and more sun-filled, and others seem a little more turbulent and rainy, and kind of the different varieties of weather on many, many levels. And I don't know that I've quite developed the skill set for it yet. So I will tune into what other people have to say about that. But I think for me, what comes up mostly is just surrendering and to just trusting that everything that's happening around me is correct and appropriate and good, and that I can just kind of relax into the moment instead of feeling like I have to force things into happening or, create certain structures and other things, which was more of my skill set when I was growing up and was in, more of a survival mode. So I'm going to put down the talking stick and thank you.
It's Amy, and I'll pick up the stick. There's such big questions. It's hard for me to say in complete answers, but I can say at least a little skinny little snapshot for right this moment. That what I'm aware of yearning for is spiritual community. And I feel like I value spiritual community in a whole new way from how I used to. And I think that that's because of the changes in the shift in energies of our time, that I'm much more integrated than I used to be. And I'm needing more human contact than I needed before. And it seems to me that the human contact that I'm needing and wanting is that of spiritual community. And I'm currently serving others. I serve animals a lot where I live. I live on a farm. And that's a big part of my life now. And when I was globe-trotting and teaching and going all over the place, I didn't have any pets. I had rocks. I used to joke about it. I have crystals. I don't have anything that needs feeding or looking after because I'm gone half the time. And now I'm in a really different position where I'm very connected with this plot of land that I live on and these animals who are here. And it brings me so much joy every day. I feel this mischievous delight in the divinity and the consciousness in these beings and in the communion that we have together. It really is a source of a great amount of laughter and joy, sometimes heartache and frustration. It's just a very relational situation for me with these non-human sentient creatures. And I'm serving others. I've started my private practice channeling again. I'm working on a new home study audio set for Roselight. And I'm kind of updating all the Roselight structures. I'm going to make a different website and get current because I haven't worked for about 4 or 5 years. It's like Rip Van Winkle. I have to get these structural things in place to be able to serve others. And I do a lot of that for Tzaddi as well, structural things. So that's an indirect form of service, kind of a foundational thing. And I'm really excited about the seminary for Tzaddi. I'm real involved in visioning that and in starting to pull together a team and starting to get it ready to take out for more comments and more participation in the co-creation process. And I'd say those areas of service, I'm serving my family, my husband and my son and my mother and my siblings, my in-laws. They're a big part of my life. I didn't have a family since before when I was so out there and traveling and so far out away from Earth. And now I feel like I'm held in a different way, and I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like all of these things are part of why I'm here. And it feels like there's so much more that I don't know and don't understand yet. And I'm, like I think Sally used that word, surrender. I'm less controlling, perhaps a tiny bit, and I'm surrendering more also. And I think that's really helping. I'm putting the stick down.
We have 20 minutes left of the call.
Well, it's topsoil. I'll pick up the stick. I think what I yearn for in this lifetime at the moment, like when we were starting the call, and it's interesting that I've heard other people say similar things, say similar things, was the words that came to me were a deep embracing love, like I yearn to experience deep embracing love. I think like part of that is acceptance, and part of it seems to be presence. I think those are linked. Letting go of arguing with what is. The other day I started thinking, and it seemed kind of like an insight at the time, was making a distinction between like hoping for things that rather than building trust in what's real, sort of like hoping things would be how I wanted them, and acting from that hope rather than from a grounded acknowledgement of how things are and the trust of that, or opening to new trust. Like it seems like trust is something that develops over time, and it seemed powerful for me to recognize that having operated from hope in that way. And then I also see like there's this gray area sort of between them, like, just like we never have the full picture. Like as humans, we never have the full picture, so whatever we think is the way things actually are is our best, it's at best our best understanding of how things are. And so to trust that process of being able to be more and more present, have more and more detail revealed, more and more intimacy, more and more maybe aliveness. And it seems like part of that is, being able to embrace what gets uncovered, to be able to accept it. That seems like has something to do with love or the generation of other qualities, high frequencies, like compassion, trust, that sort of thing, to not react with judgment, because I suspect that judgment, in a way, is not presence. It's a story about what is that doesn't really fit with love or integration, like a protection or like a holding away from. Because it seems like when I say the phrase telling the truth about how things really are, well, we could have negative stories about that and call it the truth, and that would take us away from love or keep us distant from it, if not take us away from it. And so I just want to make that, say that too as part of what I'm saying, in terms of presence. And I think it's in a way like I'm talking about what I'm yearning for, but I think it's also I'm also talking about how I'm serving others. I think that doing this work, doing my own work, and the ways I'm in conversation with others, the conversations I engage in, the communities I engage in, the presence I bring to that, as well as receive from that. Like it's not like I think it's an exchange. And so often I see that what happens through me is often because of the presence other people bring and focus on and around me, lets me be more, or lets more come through me. And I'm also doing body work and exploration of consciousness work and training in that deeper. And that's another way that I'm serving others. And practices of light, generating light, growing plants, so maybe some of what Spirit is nudging me, what changes Spirit is nudging me to stay current with the energy of the times, maybe some of that was already in, I'm sure, already in what I was saying. But if I think about the question directly, it seems like there's this whole level of reactivity that I'm becoming more aware of, and it seems like it's keeping me from being present, like quick judgments of other people. In a way, like I can see that as sort of an immature way of focusing in on what my purpose might be, to to sort out what I'm not attracted to. But then it also seems like it cuts out more than I'd really want it to cut out. I think that there's, judgment to myself in the same way. And the other thing that feels really like, it feels like a longer, like some of these things feel like they're, oh, I see through it and it's easy to change. Other things feel like they're more knotted up and it takes, maybe, I don't know, maybe years, maybe not years, I don't know, to move through it. But the sort of a pattern of clinging on to what seems like a good way to have needs met, like they were sort of met, or I sense the potential, but then when it isn't unfolding, sort of clinging on to it rather than it's sort of in a powerless and helpless way, rather than engaging to co-create something there. It seems like that's a move towards empowerment. It's a move towards centering some of, like I was already mentioning, move towards telling more of the truth. But it's also more cooperative and less sort of in my head and in my already knowing. Like there's more room for life to show up in what I feel calling. It seems like the entanglements kind of unfold with a timing that I can influence, but is outside my control. And having patience and accepting that seems like it's part of the process too. So that feels pretty complete for me. So I'll put down the stick with gratitude as well. Thank you.
We have 10 more minutes of the call left.
Thomas Ayers here in Larchmont. I'd like to pick up the stick now and offer my comments. I'm a left-hander, so I like to do things differently, or I'm driven to do things differently, however you want to think about it. So what I'd like to do is answer or address the questions in a somewhat of a different order, like 3, 1, 2. It may be the case that there are changing energies in our times, but I don't see it. I don't feel it. Where I come from, it's the metaphor that comes to mind is that of the ocean. The tides, they come and they go in the ocean, and the creatures and the fish and the crustaceans and the corals and the other plants live in the ocean, and the tides, and they come and they go, but the ocean is always there. For me, the reality is the ocean, which is always there, and kind of flipping the metaphor to more to the present, the divine is always there. That is the ocean for me. And it's not necessarily unmoving, but it's the constant presence of the divine. All this is the divine. just like the bodies of the fish and the crustacean emerge from all the elements and the chemicals within the ocean and then dissolve back into that ocean. To me, that's how I see myself here, and all of what is here, that it all comes from the divine and returns from the divine, and that is the divine is the essential nature of being for me. And given my own kind of personal history and my own kind of personal study, the divine for me comes kind of encapsulated in one little phrase that comes out of the Hindu tradition, Sat Chidananda. The divine is being, consciousness, and bliss. And the nature of the divine has informed my guiding intent. And this is what I yearn for in my lifetime. It's the realization or the fulfillment or the greater being of Sat Chidananda here and now. Divine being, divine consciousness, divine bliss for all of God's children, the earth and all creatures and all being and all life. And that guiding intent informed my practice or my seva or how I've served others. From the 1998 through 2009, I had a fairly active energy work and spiritual counseling practice. And then for whatever reasons, that kind of just dissolved. I mean, what can you say when you're put out to pasture? Something about Sally's surrender and all that. I'm not saying it's over, but maybe I can think about it as sabbatical for the time being. We'll see what opens up in that front. Other modes of service include some teaching I do in light work, something called Physical Atomic Cellular Evolution, and another class that comes out of Roselight, Flow, Alignment, and Connection. Both of those are ways of making or realizing more of that Sat Chidananda, both for the students who are in the class and everyone that they touch. And sort of rather much like Amy, I also have a kind of very practical mode of service to my little cat, Miss Sweetie. She moved in on the 5th of May, 2006, and ever since then it's been my joy, honor, and pleasure to serve Her Highness. So that's what I'd like to offer, and thank you very much for your listening. And I'm putting the stick down now.
It's Amy. I'll pick up the stick. Is there anyone who has not had a chance to share? I'll put the stick down.
It's topsoil. Looking at who's logged in online, I think everyone has had one chance to share. Not that they couldn't share again, but
Wonderful. pinks. I'll pick the stick up again. Since we're at half past the hour, our allotted time has been consumed. And I feel that we're really beginning something here, even though we're at the end of the hour. I would like us to have some more conversations this calendar year about vocation, the big umbrella topic, vocation, and more about our yearnings and our service and our observations. And I'll be scheduling those calls for our monthly spirit gathering times. Lovely beginning tonight to what I hope will be a much longer and more in-depth dialogue, although I think we touched some deep places together tonight. And so to close, and in that spirit of continuing to share and to listen, I'll ask you to direct your awareness to the center of the circle and to remember that hub of light connects your heart to that center place. Just experience, perceive whatever you do in that energy. And I'll invite any of you who are listening or who are on the call, if you feel moved from this space to lead a spirit gathering call about some aspect or facet of vocation, to please let me know. I would welcome that, for you to be the host, for further exploration and energizing of this calling that we all have, and to do that in community with different voices hosting would be a great delight to me. And I encourage you now to take a moment again to sense the center of the circle or sphere, or however you experience it, and to see if there is that calling to you to lead in that way or in some other way that is a new thought for you. I would receive you gladly if you would like to discuss this at a later time. Good. Now let's begin to shift out of the circle, this powerful container, this co-creative space, knowing that it's here for us to return to again and again, to attract others, to give support and receive support. So imagine now that you're beginning to take some of the energy from the center of the circle, which is infinite. So it's plenty there. You can take some. And to begin to draw it along that hub of light back to your heart, for you to take away a gift of energy from tonight's gathering, one that contains the essence commingled of all of us here and many light beings beyond, many future circle participants, and many past. To let that light nourish your heart and bathe it for the expression of the divine in you to flower more fully in this life on earth. Oh. And as we each prepare to stand, move away from the circle and go on about our individual lives, expressing our individual gifts and talents, meeting our individual challenges, remember that you are not alone, that there is a great intelligence full of love, full of wonder and bliss. It is your birthright that is guiding you, even when it doesn't make sense to your rational mind, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's beautiful, full of joy. At all times and in all conditions, it's there for us. Good. Even when we're not aware of it. So let's thank and acknowledge ourselves and each other as human beings of light on a path of growth and development. Thank and acknowledge Amy Keys and Dorothy Blackmere, who've passed into spirit now, but who founded Tzaddi, this metaphysical spiritual organization, in 1964. Good. And let's close tonight by each saying one or two words of what's in your heart and mind as you leave the circle. Mine is joy and reverence and gratitude to God. Putting the stick down.
Peace and love and gratitude. Good night.